Wake up, Jacob. This is Israelite Prepper, and this is another volume of Ask Pastor Nobody, aka Robert the Rabbi. I have a lot of names, believe me. I'll give you all of them at some point. But I asked in the last volume to send in your questions, and I had a brother who commented at the bottom of that question. If you go to that video, that last one, his name's Mark Walton, and I said that I want to go ahead and answer these questions, and I want to answer them to the best of my ability. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. But let me tell you exactly what he said. If you don't go over to that video, I'm going to just read to you what he wrote to me on that video, right? And he says, those were some very good answers to those questions. Being in captivity per se, we have to realize that if we make a conscious effort to keep the laws, provisions are made for us, and we can make things happen once we become aware. I have a question about marriage. You brought up the dietary law. I believe that it's important when it comes to our relationship with the health industry and the opinions of society overall in the field of raising kids. Junk foods, vaccines, junk on TV, frivolous lifestyles in general. If you have a wife who refuses to submit to that order and really despises it to the point of using government entities, family, doctors, etc., to usurp your role as the head, once it's gotten out of hand over the years, it's relentless because society and her family and friends influence her to be so rebellious that you see it's only getting worse. What do you see is the best option for that man considering there are kids involved? Oh boy. When I asked you guys to send in your questions, and this one is rough. This is a very, 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 very tough question, and I'm not going to take it lightly. This one is a big one. But I will say this: the answer is going to depend on a few factors. The answer is going to depend on one, what you believe, and what I mean is if you are messianic, if you're Tanakh only, if you subscribe to the Apocrypha or not, because the answers are in different places, right? So that's really going to depend, right? That's really going to depend. Here's the thing. Uh, it's a very, very hard thing. Now let's assume that you are messianic, right? The Messiah said, "Think not that he come to bring peace into the world. He did not come to bring peace, but a sword." And it's just going to divide the household. It's going to divide up the home, right? I'm just paraphrasing. It's going to divide up the home. So what we have to understand is that when we're trying our best to walk into the truth, is that sometimes you are going to lose some loved ones along the way. Shalom, shalom, Sister Michelle Jackman. Shalom. Thank you for joining me. Um, you're going to lose some people along the way, and that's unfortunate and that's sad. And if you are trying to you're trying to live righteously, if you're really trying to live righteously, someone's going to rebel against you, and that's going to happen. Now again, this is nothing that I'm about to say is going to be easy and should not be taken lightly, because you're talking about a marriage and you're talking about kids that are involved, okay? But if we're talking about divorce, obviously we can go and we can look at divorce. We can go back to Deuteronomy 24. I put together a couple of notes. We can go back to Deuteronomy 24 and 1, in which says, Deuteronomy 24 1, it says, "When a man has taken a wife and married her, and it comes to pass that she finds no faith in his eyes, because he has found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it into her hand and send her out of his house." Now, one thing I want to point out is that, hey, Enlightened One, I agree, it's a very serious matter. First of all, we have to follow that. We should follow this to the letter. Okay, for one, if it's divorce, you're going to give her a bill of divorcement, put it in her hand, send her out of her house. Right? Some people like to skip over all this stuff, but we want to follow as close as possible. That's for one. Then we have to look at this word uncleanness. Right? So I'm going to look in the Strong's, and I'm going to look at it over here. Uncleanness, which is the Hebrew 6172, uncleanness, which is arvah. All right, nakedness, nudity, shame, implying shameful exposure. Okay, pudinda. Okay, nakedness of a thing, indecency, improper behavior, expose undefended. Okay, so it has in nudity, disgrace, unclean, shame, stuff like that, right? So if he finds something like that, okay, um, he can give her a bill of divorce. Now we know back then Israel would give a woman a bill of divorce for any reason, right? So you have that. Now you're talking about you want to do the dietary law, but your wife is like still allowing the kids, to eat the pork, shrimp, catfish, stuff like that, and you don't want to do it, and she's getting support obviously from the government, and you're getting support from her family, and so on and so forth. First of all, you kind of said something key there, Mark, is that one, we are in a land of our captives, right? So the government is going to be against us regardless, okay? And some women are going to use that to their advantage, right? Including taking your kids, okay? From a Hebrew perspective, the kids are the man's seed, okay? They belong to the man. I'm not saying, okay, that the mom isn't the mom. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that the system will take your kids from you, and this system will support that, okay? So that's why it's a very serious matter, okay? The chances of you being able in this system, the chances of you being able to keep your kids, they stay with you, very slim to none. Does it happen? Every now and then it does, but overwhelmingly the kids are going to the wife if that happens. I'm just saying, it's just a fact, okay? It's just not it's not an opinion. It's a fact, okay? So you can give her a bill of divorce. Depends on what's going on, okay? So I'm answering the question, what do you do, okay? If your woman or the wife is being rebellious, for example, he used the dietary law as an example. He wants to eat, clean, and want his kids to adhere to the dietary law, but then his wife no, she's not having it, right? So, and then she's getting very, very, very rebellious. He said, I'm going to read this question again. He says, it's relentless because society and her family and friends influence her to be so rebellious that you see it's only getting worse. What do you do? What do you see is the best option for that man, considering that there are kids involved? Okay, so it's good. You're gonna have to have the courage of your convictions. It's really, really rough. It's really, really rough. It's like this. If I look here again, because you mentioned rebellion, so if I go to 1 Samuel 15:23, if I go to 1 Samuel 15:23, he says, "For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is an iniquity and idolatry." Okay, so stubbornness like idolatry, rebellion is like witchcraft, and then of course this is Saul rebelling against God. And so if I just finish the verse, it said, "Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he also has rejected thee from being king." Okay, so 1 Samuel 15:23. So rebellion is the sin of witchcraft or something. So it's like your wife is having witchcraft, right, in your home. Or let's just consider actual witchcraft. What if you are in this word and she's actually doing seances and Ouija boards and actually doing all that? Okay, would you have her in your home? Would you stay with her? Okay, now I am going to go to the New Testament because I know people are going to go to the New Testament and they might go to Matthew 5, right? So if you go to Matthew 5 and let's see, 31, 5 and 31, Matthew 5 and 31, it says, "It has been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement," right? So that tells you putting away and divorce is two different things, because you can be estranged, someone can be separated from you, but you guys still married, okay? So you're not divorced until you give a bill of divorcement, okay? And then he says in 32, "But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication," and we'll look at that, "causes her to commit adultery," that means because she is just put away and she didn't have her bill of divorce, so when she sleeps with someone, she is committing adultery, right? Causes her to commit adultery, and whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committed adultery. Now, of course, that goes into like if she's divorced for an unbiblical reason, right? So if I don't like her cooking, so you divorce. Well, she goes out there and marries someone else, and you gave her a divorce just because you don't like how she cooks, then she's committing adultery, and the guy who's sleeping with her commits adultery because it's an unlawful reason to be divorced. All right. So I just wanted to look at that, right? So they say, save for the cause of fornication. So let's look up fornication real quick in the Greek, which is, this is Matthew 5, chapter 5 and verse 32, because that's where fornication is. 532, fornication. Let's look at that word in the Strongs, which is, okay, porneia. And we're going to look at all of it. Porneia is, okay, in the Greek, let me give you a number, 4202. Greek 4202 in the Strongs. Illicit sexual intercourse, adultery, fornication, homosexuality, lesbianism, intercourse with animals or bestiality, sexual intercourse with close relatives, Leviticus 18, sexual intercourse with a divorced man or woman, the divorced man, that's added. We'll talk about that in just a second. The worship of an idol, so you got idolatry in there, of the defilement of idolatry, as occurred by eating the sacrifices offered by idolatry, things like that. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, but I guess you can put unclean foods and stuff in there as well. Sacrifices offered to idols and things like that. So but that's up to you. Let's see here: grammar, harlotry, adultery, incest, yeah, fornication. So you got all that in there, right? So, Mark, if she's being rebellious, now let me give you two schools of thought there. Let me give you two schools of thought on that divorce. You're gonna have some that say, well, the only way or the only reason you can divorce someone is for fornication, or we should say adultery. Okay, we should say adultery. That means, a married woman sleeping with a man, right? Adultery. The reason I say it that way is because biblically adultery is defined by the status, the marital status of the woman. Typically, a man can commit fornication and a woman can commit like adultery. Now, fornication, just real quick, because this video is not about that. Fornication is some illicit sexual act, but it's kind of like saying sex without responsibility. So if a man goes out, have sex with a woman, let's say she's not married, okay? Let's say she's not married. That's not adultery. However, if he just has sex with her casually and just moves on or whatever, that's fornication because you're not taking responsibility. Okay, so that's fornication. Obviously, if a man sleeps with a married woman, that's adultery, right? Or a married woman sleeps with anybody other than her husband, that's adultery, okay? Fornication is like sex without responsibility, and adultery is a married woman sleeping with someone not her husband, okay? So you have that, okay? I don't want to get into a whole thing in this video because it's not about that, and we're going to go down a rabbit trail. So you have that. You have people saying, okay, you can only get divorced if she commits some sort of sexual act, right? The Messiah said that. But also in the Messiah, in Matthew 5, if you go way back, same chapter, 5:17, he said, think not that I come to destroy the law of the prophets, right? So in the law, it's not just adultery, okay? It's other, other things as well. And then I want to add one more caveat to that. If you are, you know what? I said in the beginning of the video, Mark, that it depends on what you believe, and like, do you subscribe to, the Apocrypha and things like that? Not everybody goes by the Apocrypha, but I'm going to give this to you because I don't know if you go by the Apocrypha. You didn't say. So if you do go by the Apocrypha, let me tell you, in Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 25. Sirach or Ecclesiasticus. It depends on what the title is in your Apocrypha. It's either Sirach or Ecclesiasticus. So chapter 25, if I start over in verse 20 through 26, it says, a talkative wife for a quiet husband is like a sand dune beneath the feet of an elderly person. I guess it's saying it's slippery. Okay, 21, don't fall for a woman's beauty and don't long for a woman. Okay, there will be anger, shamelessness, the utter disgrace when a wife provides for her husband, like if she doesn't. A wicked wife causes a humiliated heart, a gloomy face, and a wounded heart. Drooping hands and weakened knees come from a woman who doesn't make her husband happy. 24. Sin began with a woman, and because of her, all of us die. Then 25. Don't allow an outlet for water, and don't give a wicked wife freedom to speak. A wicked, okay? A wicked. I'm not talking about good women. So women, I don't want y'all to get offended saying this is all women. No, this is a wicked woman, okay? If you're not a wicked woman, please don't be offended. And 26. If she doesn't do as you say, divorce her. So if she is rebellious, divorce her, is what it's saying in Ecclesiasticus, okay, or the Apocrypha. That is up to you, okay? That's something to think about. It's up to you. Now, if you believe, if you're Tanakh only, you're going to say, hey, look, any manner of uncleanness, it's okay, cool. Rebellion is the sin of witchcraft and idolatry, and I'm not going to let idolatry and witchcraft be in my, thank you, brother, enlightened one. I'm not going to allow idolatry or witchcraft. I'm not going to walk in my house and there's candles and they're committing seances and all that. I'm going to divorce my wife if she does that, right? So, rebellion, that kind of thing. And I'm speaking to those who may say, well, no, you cannot divorce her for any other reason than if she sleeps with another man. Okay? So, if a woman tries to bring harm to your children, are you not going to put her away and divorce her? Okay? If you walk in and they're doing seances and they got pentagrams everywhere and doing all kinds of witchcraft or whatever in the house, are you going to stay with her? If she tries to bring harm to you, comes at you with a knife or try to kill you or something, are you going to stay with her? So it's one of those it's one of those things. If you feel like you're stuck in rebellion, I mean, if you subscribe to, hey, you know what, you cannot get divorced except for if she goes sleep with another man, then you have to also realize the other things that you're going to be stuck with. You're going to have to put up with a lot of stuff, because if she knows that she can do everything and I'm talking about a wicked woman. I'm talking about a wicked woman, okay? Righteous women, you righteous sisters out there should not be offended because you're not wicked. But I'm talking about a wicked woman. If she knows all these things that she can do, because this is a wicked woman, and all she has to do is not sleep with another man, and you have to put up with that. She's gonna destroy your home. It's over. Ball game. It's over. Okay. If she thinks you're gonna put up with everything and anything short of you sleeping with another person, but that is up to you. Do you subscribe to, hey, only if she sleeps with another man, or any manner of uncleanness or rebellion? If you subscribe to the Apocrypha or anything like that, you got to ask yourself that. Okay, so that's what's going to be hard. Now, when you put her away, you got to understand. I mean, if you have your kids, great, but you have to have the courage of your convictions, knowing that, unfortunately, you could lose your kids. And I know what the system says. Just pay child support and all that. Hey, I was there. Pay child support and all that, but that's not the same as being involved with your child and instilling your values in your child. Okay, we know that's not the same. So yeah, and I'm not saying don't take care of your kids. I'm not saying that. Take care of your kids, but I'm just saying you better be aware of the chance of you actually having primary custody of your child. Not looking. I don't know. That doesn't usually work out that well. For the guy. It usually doesn't work out that well. So, now, I had another question. I want to get to another question. Shalom, brother, the tough guy. The tough guy. Shalom. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate that. I got to answer one more question, though, guys. One more question. There's a question. This question was asked. It says, do you believe in modern day prophets and elders? Okay? Do you believe in modern day prophets and elders? I'm going to answer the question right out, real flat and straight. Yes, I do believe in modern day prophets. I do believe in modern day healers. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Modern day prophets and healers. Do I believe in modern day prophet and healers? Short answer, yes. Allow me to explain. If it occurred and it happened in the Bible, I mean, obviously you got to be a Bible believer. Hello, I'm a Bible believer. Yes, I believe that there was prophets in the past, and that they exist and all that. I believe there were healers in the past and that they exist. I believe there are some today. Now, something can be said about a modern day prophet, because even the Messiah said, the prophets was unto John, and he seemed to indicate that John was the last quote unquote prophet. That way, everybody after that were apostles and disciples, right? So you could make the argument there, and that's fine. And I'm not, and I'm fine with that. If you believe that there are no more modern day prophets, that's okay. However, I think a prophet, there are tests and there are ways to know. Okay, Proverbs 29, he said, where there is no vision, the people perish, but that he keepeth the law, happy is he. Amen, amen. But there's a way to know, okay? You can go that route, or you can still say there are prophets, because he also gave a warning, the Messiah, he also gave a warning in Matthew 7, beware false prophets, okay? So he's just saying that more are going to come, okay? So, do I believe in modern day prophets? Yes, I believe there could be modern day prophets. One caveat. If I go to Matthew 7, let me start 15. It says, beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. You shall know them by their fruits. Okay, I really want to just stop right there. I really want to stop right there. So there are some apostles. Thank you, tough guy. He said he gave some apostles, some prophets. Yes, so they're modern day prophets. But we have to know how to recognize them. That's why he said you have to know them by their fruit. We have to know these modern day prophets by their fruit, right? And we're going to talk about prophets real quick, and then I'll get to the healers here in just a second, okay? So if you want to finish the rest of that in 16, Matthew 7 and 16, he said, do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore, by their fruits you shall know them. Okay, so that's how we're going to know a false prophet. Now, we even have some help in Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 18, we have a little bit of help with that as well, so we can know a false prophet. If we start at verse 20, Deuteronomy 18 and verse 20, it says, but the prophet, which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. Even that prophet shall die. And if thou say in thy heart, how shall we know the word which the Lord has not spoken? Verse 22, it says, when a prophet speaketh in the name of the Lord, if the thing follow not, meaning it does not happen, nor come to pass, that is the thing which the Lord has not spoken, but the prophet has spoken it presumptuously, thou shalt not be afraid of him. Pay him no mind. Don't worry about it. He's false. He's not real, right? So you have that, as an idea, okay? So a modern day prophet, there can be a modern day prophet, but if he says a thing, proclaims a thing or something like that, it does not come to pass, okay? Now, I know a prophet, I know the only thing is not that they just predict a future or say some kind of future, event that's going to take place. That's not the only thing that they do. But what I am saying is, if they do say, okay, this is going to happen, then that needs to happen, okay? That needs to happen. That's a false prophet. Every prophecy that a prophet spoken in the Bible has happened, or it shall come to pass. I know not all prophecies are fulfilled. I know that, but 2/3 of the prophecies in the Bible are fulfilled, right? So it has happened, or it will come to pass. Okay. So the other part of that question, before we get out of here, is: do I believe in modern day healers, like spiritual healers, that people can have a sickness or an ailment within them, and can a man of God heal that? Yes, I do believe that as well. But here's a caveat here. Some people, they try to be slick. They try to deceive the masses. They try to make you think the reason that their healing or your deliverance did not take place had something to do with your faith. And what you're going to come to find is that that's not how that happens. Okay, that's not how it works. Okay, let me use an example here. Okay, if I go and talk about healing, I'm talking about Elisha, right? The prophet that came after Elijah. So let me look at 2 Kings 5 and starting at verse 10. 2 Kings 5 starting at 10. And he said, and Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, go and wash in the Jordan 7 times. And he's talking about that captain that came and he had leprosy. And thy flesh shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean, and you shall be clean, right? But Naaman was wroth. Okay, this is the captain. Naaman was wroth and went away and said, behold, I thought he will surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of his God and strike his hands over the place and recover the leprosy. So he's expecting, he was not believing him. He was like, man, he didn't come out. He didn't strike his hand. He didn't call onto his Lord. He didn't do any of this stuff that I had in my mind, all this fancy stuff. He didn't do any of that. So I thought he was going to at least do that and strike his hands over the place and recover the leprosy. In verse 12, and are not Abana and Pharpar, rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? So he's just saying, we got rivers back home. These rivers are much better than this river over here. What's the big deal? You know, aren't they not better than that, than the rivers in Damascus? Better than all the waters of Israel. May I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in a rage. He turned and went away in a rage. Okay. Verse 13. And his servants came near and spake unto him and said, my father, if thou prophet had bid thee to do some great thing, wouldn't thou not have done it? How much rather then when he said to thee, wash and be clean? So he said, you know, if he would have told you something to do something difficult, do some cartwheels, handstands, and do all this other stuff, you would have done it. But he told you to do something simple, just wash in the river 7 times. In verse 14, then went he down and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God, and his flesh came again like unto the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. My point is, it did not matter if Naaman believed him or not. It worked anyway. That's my point. So I do believe in modern day healers, but don't fall for the deception that they tell you, well, you know, you would have been healed, but your faith is too small and you didn't believe. Naaman didn't believe. He was mad. He was upset. He was like, man, I thought he was going to come out and do something. And then even when his servant said, okay, well, go ahead and do it anyway. I mean, he told you to do something simple. Let's just see. You know, let's just see. So he, thank you, brother. So he said, let's just see. So he said, fine, okay, I'll do it. He was doing it. He was mad. He was dipping himself mad. He said, man, this guy got me out here dipping in a river and that's supposed to work and all that. Boom, he did it 7 times. Boom, he was clean. It was good. So it had nothing to do with his faith. Okay, another example. The Messiah raised up Lazarus. Now, Lazarus was dead. Did it have anything to do with his faith? No, he was dead. Okay, had nothing to do with his faith. How about the 400 prophets of Baal when Elijah wanted to have that miracle proving, you know, who you're going to serve. Okay, who you're going to serve? You're going to serve the God of Israel, or you're going to serve Baal. Okay, when they did that, you guys know the story. And we know that when they were offering their sacrifice and trying to get their God to worship, you know, the Most High and all that, we know that it did not work. They put more. It just did not work. But then when Elijah did it, he wet that altar even more, and the fire still came down and everything. And of course, the 400 prophets of Baal, you know, they all got killed and everything because theirs didn't work. Elijah's did. Guess what? They didn't believe. Okay? They didn't even believe. But what Elijah was doing, it worked. So we got to understand that. No, if someone can heal by faith, if someone can heal, it works whether the person believes or not. It doesn't matter, okay? So that's how you can determine a fake healing or real healing. It doesn't matter if you believe. It doesn't matter, okay? So don't let them deceive you. It doesn't matter if you believe or not. Let me look at 1 Kings here. 1 Kings 17 and 7. 17. 1 Kings 17. And it came to pass after these things, the son of the woman, this is Elijah, okay? Son of a woman, the mistress of the house, fell sick, and his sickness was so sore that there was no breath left in him. Talking about the little boy. And she said unto Elijah, what have I done with thee, O thou man of God? Art thou come unto me to call my sin to remembrance and to slay my son? See, you came over here just to remind me how wicked I am, and then you're just going to kill my son. So, you know, she's feeling bad. So she ain't believing that much, right? She's feeling some type of way. And he said unto her, give me thy son. And he took him out of her bosom and carried him into the loft where he abode and laid him upon his own bed. And he cried unto the Lord and said, O Lord my God, hast thou also brought evil upon the widow with whom I sojourn by slaying her husband? And he stretched himself upon the child 3 times, and cried unto the Lord and said, O Lord my God, I pray thee, let this child's soul come into him again. And the Lord heard the voice of Elijah, and the soul of the child came into him again, and he revived. And Elijah took the child and brought him down out of the chamber into the house and delivered him unto his mother. And Elijah said, See, thy son liveth. It doesn't matter about the victim or the person receiving the healing. It doesn't matter about their faith. It only matters the faith of the healer, not the one being healed. So do I believe in modern day healers? Yes. But guess what? Their gift of healing is based on their faith in their relationship with the Most High, not yours. Please, if you have anything else you want to add to it, put it in the comment section below. I appreciate all you guys joining me on there. Ask your questions. Put them in the comment. I told you I will go to the next video and I will answer it then and there to the best of my ability. Like, comment,